Good morning, everyone. Welcome. My name is Menachem Creditor. It's my honor to serve as scholar in residence and rabbi for UJA Federation of New York. We bring you Torah and music, blessing, and community every weekday. We've been doing so since March 18th, 2020. Today it is March 24th, 2026. It's broadcast 1515. It's beautiful to see all of you here. We have come together for more than 6 years to lift each other up, to say good morning, just to enjoy each other's presence and to learn some Torah. Susan and Neil, Barbara and Tara, Scott and Jonathan, good to see all of you. Boker Tov, my friends. Hi, Larry. Barry, Linda, Michelle and Penny, good to see all of you. Lovely to see you. A whole bunch of people just jumped on to Facebook. John, nice to see you. Hi, Lydia. Linda and Nathalia, Arlene and George, good morning. Jerry and Richard, Sandy, good morning. Nice to see everybody. This is a nice way to start the day, isn't it? I managed to get to work a little bit early, and thanks to my son Micah, I was able to proficiently change the string of my guitar. So now, even when I'm in the office, I'll be able to play our bracha. So let's take a breath, sing a bracha, learn some Torah. Hi, Ariel. Nice to see you, my love. Good morning, everyone. It's beautiful to see all of you here. I saw a few things I wanted to acknowledge. Let's dedicate our Torah study this morning to the memory of Arlene and Jerry's father upon his 9th yahrzeit. May his memory be for a blessing and sending comfort to your family. Patricia, you're sharing that Tzav, this week's Torah portion, was your son's bar mitzvah portion 11 years ago. 11 years ago. Mazel tov to your family on this anniversary of the bar mitzvah. It's good to see all of you here. Let's get started. Parshat Tzav continues the sacrificial system, and it is a strange thing for us to enter into again. It feels so arcane, so primitive, so bloody. As we've discussed since beginning the book of Leviticus just last week, that strangeness is actually just an illusion. Our world is just as full of blood and guts and gore, and the system of sacrifice is one way of addressing it, of channeling it for the purpose of preserving life, actually. The sacrifices were there to maintain the stability of the camp and to affect the way that we approach the world, and maybe even that God would approach us as we approach the world. All of these things, while strange, actually reflect a Jewish mindfulness in the world. It's consciousness of an older version of ourselves. Tzav continues the process of understanding these sacrifices, but also goes toward the officiants themselves. The priests are inaugurated in this week's Parsha, and that has its own strangeness for us until we address it more deeply. So here is the way the priests are anointed. After sacrificing the ram of burnt offering, the olah, Moses took some of the blood from the ram of ordination and put it on, this is a quote in translation, the ridge of Aaron's right ear and the thumb of his right hand and on the big toe of his right foot. He then repeated the same ritual for each of Aaron's sons, and that's when they became Kohanim for the first time. Now, this role, being a Kohen, being a priest, at least as it's been handed down since that date, is a product of birth. All the male children, at least in some parts of Jewish tradition, of male Kohen are themselves Kohanim. Some now include daughters as well, and it's one of the most powerful things to see fathers and daughters bless the community in a process we call duchening, where the priests stand in front of the community and we're not supposed to look, but they put their hands the way priests have put their hands, and they reach toward the community, channeling God's blessing. It's a distinct, beautiful moment in our davening life. But what does it mean, that inaugural moment, for the priest to be touched on the ear and the thumb and the toe? Because that just feels so weird. You think about the children's song, right? Head, shoulders, knees, and toes. It kind of feels like that. So how do we build meaning for ourselves from not only an ancient ritual, but an ancient ritual that dabs the priest's ear, thumb, and toe with blood? Now, commentators have addressed this throughout the generations. Here I'm going to be channeling some of the teaching of my beloved teacher and friend, Rabbi Bradley Shavit Artson, who is about to be honored for 25 years of leadership at American Jewish University. I honor him for being a mentor and friend to me, to my wife, to many, many, many people through his writings and the model of his life. He has a beautiful comment on this parsha where he brings in some of those ancient commentators, including Philo, first century Egypt, who said that the fully consecrated, right, those priests who are ordained, must be pure in words and actions and in life. For words are judged by hearing, the hand is the symbol of action, and the foot of the pilgrimage of life. And so what he does by associating the ear and the thumb and the toe is something that Rabbi Artson has taught many rabbis, including me, to take very seriously. That how we hear, the attunement that we make sure to have to the world, that is a prerequisite to leadership. Our hands, how we act in this world, is also prerequisite to leadership, and that we keep going. The pilgrimage of life, as Philo has it. And Rabbi Artson does a beautiful job of seeing the blood as a symbol. Now, it's important for us not to use the word symbol to distance ourselves from the visceral experience that the priests had and that Moses himself had. He was conferring leadership on his brother. There's an intimacy and a sharing here of a consciousness, of a sensitivity, of a vulnerability, because even in the ancient world, this blood had power. We are told over and over in our tradition that blood contains life force. That's why Jews don't ingest blood. And blood has purifying power. Its use was manifold in the ancient world. It brought us closer to forgiveness. It helped us express our gratitude. It acknowledged when we made mistakes. It was there in our most intimate moment in the Holy of Holies. And so for it to be on the priest's body, placed there, is an act of transformation, unlike really any that we have in our world today. I would offer that surgeons and nurses and doctors and physician's assistants most likely have a sensitivity that many don't. Perhaps through the regularity of the practice, they might not feel it as much, but I imagine that especially at the beginning of their work, the blood of another human being affects them and their sense of belonging, their sense of purpose, what we do. Just imagine if we walked around with that kind of sensitivity through the pilgrimages of our life. remembering that how we hear others, that we must hear others, that is prerequisite to leadership. And it's one thing to say we hear, it's another thing to remember that we must devote our hands to what we hear is needed. I've often said that faith in Jewish tradition is not something I think or feel or believe. Faith is what we do with our bodies. In Jewish tradition, faith is only measurable by what you witness me do. And sometimes no one witnesses. We do things because we're supposed to do them, even if no one notices them. In fact, I wanted to make sure to amplify something that we do here at UJA today, the holiest day of our programming year. Not a lot of people see it, but it is true love. It is something that involves hearing and witnessing. It involves our actions, and it involves a pilgrimage of life. Today, with our partner agency, Self-Help, here in New York, we are going to be holding a Pesach Seder in advance of Pesach for survivors of the Shoah. Every year we have been blessed to do this work. And every year there are fewer of our beloved teachers to bring in, to take care of. UJA has made a significant commitment for the next 5 years, which will likely be very pivotal years as survivors of the Shoah age and as we lose some of our beloved teachers. So we are going to be raising $25 million over the next 5 years as it's complicated to say this, as a final push for this sacred energy. And we know, as the great Elie Wiesel taught us, that when you are a witness to a witness, you become a witness. And we have learned this over and over again through our history, especially recent history. But it is not just a phrase. If you hear those words and you say, that's a turn of phrase that only Elie Wiesel could have crafted, and that's true. As a beautiful speaker and writer and teacher and mind, there's very, very little anyone can hold up to compare to the clarity and beautiful language that Elie Wiesel, Zichrono Livracha, gave us. But to bear witness is to become a witness. These ears, pardon me for saying it just this way, these ears have been touched by blood. How we hear, that we must hear, we have learned, and we dedicate ourselves, not just at UJA, this is the Jewish project, this is what we do. And we have not allowed those ears and what we have heard through them to be the limit of our commitment. Our hands, friends, our hands, our bodies, our actions, they are called into motion because we listen, because we hear the call, we understand our obligation, and we accept it. And we keep going. Our legs, our feet keep moving through the pilgrimage of life. Philo was right. Rabbi Bradley Shavit Artson gave us the gift of channeling this important teaching forward and offering it in a current vernacular. I want to read just the close of what Rabbi Artson offers. By placing sacrificial blood on the priest's extremities, the Torah indicates that the newly ordained Kohen, priest, has passed through a transitional moment from being a private citizen to becoming a representative of God and a public leader. Ear, hand, and foot, an abbreviated code for his entire body, emphasize that service to one's highest ideals, to one's people, or to one's God must be total. Through his induction into the temple ritual, the Kohen entered into a higher state of purity, devotion, and of service. To become a nation of priests requires of us no less. Friends, that language sounds like our hearts, and I invite you to take that very seriously. If you will be here, and some of us will, at the Survivors Seder that UJA runs with Self-Help, you already know. And so many of us are sharing that we are children of survivors and grandchildren of survivors. All of us are witness. What a powerful and important reminder from this parsha, from this moment, and from our teachers. So let's hold on to this and bless our world with the actions it requires in order for it to move forward, to be of service in the name of everyone whose words and lives have touched our ears. Let's send our hearts to the east. Kol hod baleva penima nefesh Yehudi homia ulefatei mizrach kadima ayin letzion Sophia od lo avda tikvateinu התקווה בת שנות 2000 להיות עם חופשי בארצנו ארץ ציון וירושלים להיות עם חופשי בארצנו ארץ ציון Virushalayim. Am Yisrael Chai. See you tomorrow, my friends.